Welcome back to MFO, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to another episode. Today is Monday, the day after the BassMaster Classic. Congratulations to Easton Fothergill, winner of the BassMaster Classic. There has been a ton of talk about the Classic. A lot of it negative, a lot of it, just coming out against Bass for all sorts of different things, whether it be crowd sizes, forward-facing sonar, terrible coverage, whatever you want to talk. We're going to get into all of that. We're going to talk about probably a different side of things. I'm going to take a different perspective on a lot of things. I'm going to agree with some of the negatives. I'm going to give some reasons why I think some of those things are going on. We're going to talk about some of the things that I think Bass needs to rethink a little bit. We're going to talk about some rumors that came out of the Classic, because I made some phone calls, and there's some things that are coming up that you may want to know about. So stick around for that for sure. And we're going to talk about some records that were broken at the Classic. Guys, stick around. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to Mark Fisher Outdoors, everybody. I'm Mark Fisher. Again, Easton Fothergill wins the Classic. The biggest thing that I need to say right off the bat is when it comes to, do you want to root for the guy who wins the Classic? Are you happy that he won it? And talking to a lot of buddies and a lot of guys that are on the elites, I have not heard one person say, well, I guess it's okay, he is a well-liked, well-respected young angler who, yes, he uses forward-facing sonar, but to be honest, even the older guys who fish the elites really like this kid, respect his work ethic, respect the way he goes about things. So the reality is, it's a great story with his health issues from about 19 months ago and the climb and success that he's had. So, from that standpoint, Bass has a Classic champ that they can be proud of, and he won it in great style. Yes, he was using forward-facing sonar. And so for those of us who are going to have a problem with the fact that the Classic was won by forward-facing sonar, well, guess what? I don't think that was a big surprise. Let's talk briefly about the fact that Lee Livesey really, really put in a great show without using forward-facing and used a variety of techniques, really came across as a true competitor and somebody who was focused on doing things his way, knew what he wanted to do, came out with a competitive spirit, and pretty much just, did the best that anyone could be expected to do without using forward facing. And it was cool also to see John Cox in the mix doing his John Cox thing up on the bank and fishing for bedded fish and real shallow kinds of things. So a lot of positive things came out of the Classic. And yes, there were some negatives for sure. I'm telling you that I spent an extraordinary long amount of time just based on the fact that, this weekend was the beginning of my spring break, so I didn't have anything going on and I had time. I spent a lot of time watching the Classic, which means I watched a lot of commercials because, boy, they had them. I assume that means that Bass was able to capitalize on the popularity of the Classic by putting in, paying commercials. We'll see whether that's the case or not. But boy, I tell you what, it seemed like for every 20 minutes of watching, you were getting about 10 minutes worth of commercials. And they were repetitive commercials, the same commercials over and over again. Interestingly enough, when you talk about watching, not a lot of fish catches and not a lot of on the water coverage, it didn't seem like. And I know guys have complained about that and said, well, too many interviews at the expo, and you got guys, you got Deion Sanders coming in and things like that. And I get that, but the reality is, if there isn't a lot of fish catches happening, you can't show a lot of fish catches. Now, granted, you could show guys fishing, but in the age of forward-facing sonar, when guys aren't really fishing, they're literally looking at the graph waiting to see the next fish. You're not even seeing guys making a lot of casts. And granted, that may be one of the big knocks to forward-facing sonar, but the reality is, when you go to a place like Ray Roberts has big fish, and it showed out. Record-breaking weight for a 3-day, 15-fish tournament, but no big 10-pounders caught, no double-digit fish caught. That was surprising. Everybody I've talked to was surprised about that. But a lot of big fish, a lot of 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-pound fish caught, but no double-digit fish, but lots of big, healthy 4 to 7-pound fish being caught. Just not the quantity. So many guys coming to the scales with 2 fish, 3 fish in their bag at the end of the day. So that being said, that lake produces quality fish, but not quantities. And so there aren't going to be that many fish caught to televise. And so you're going to have to fill the time with a lot of interviews. That's just the nature of the beast. That's fishing. It's not always catching. So I'm going to give Bass a slide on that one. What I'm not going to give them a slide on, and I think they need to rethink, is the weigh-in itself. The weigh-in is long, and putting kayak weigh-ins and college weigh-ins in front of it just makes it longer. The other part is that when I went to the Classic last year, the weigh-in was across the street from the expo. When you went to the expo and you parked, you could go to the expo, walk across the street, go to the weigh-in. Down in Fort Worth, the weigh-in was 8 miles away from the expo, which meant you had to pay for parking over at the expo. Then you had to drive over to the weigh-in, pay for parking there. From a cost standpoint, it doesn't work. From a logistics standpoint, the weigh-in doesn't really make sense. We all know that the weigh-in isn't that terribly exciting, especially when you add, we're going to do the college weigh-in in front of it or something like that. Now you put the fact in that when you're at the expo, you have to leave the expo early in order to get to the weigh-in on time. So you're leaving a place that you want to be. You're spending more money to go park somewhere else. Then you're going to sit somewhere where it's not that exciting, but you're doing it because you want to be there. You want to say you were at the weigh-in. But then you're there so long that you miss the other activities that are happening, because there's dinners and shows and, Luke Duncan doing his big thing and everything. But if you stay at the weigh-in, you're not going to make it to those other things on time, because those things are going to sell out by the time you get done with the weigh-in. So a lot of people choose to kind of bypass the weigh-in so that they can go to the expo and then go right to dinner or go do something else. And so I think that that's one of the things that Bass needs to look at from a standpoint. That's why the weigh-in was empty. A lot of people say, well, it was because of forward-facing sonar. I don't buy that as much as there was a cost. It was farther away, and it just logistically didn't work out for people who had things to do during the week. The expo, the nightlife, and we already were on Bass Track. We knew who was winning. We knew what the leaders were and things like that. So I think that Bass needs to kind of rethink how they want to do that if they want to build up those weigh-in crowds. If not, go to a smaller venue where the crowds that you are getting are filling up the place instead of having it look like a very, very empty stadium. That's my suggestion, to something like that. And I'm not sure what you guys think about that. I'm also interested to see or hear from you how much you watched, if any. Did you like it? Did you not like it? What are your ideas for how to make it better? But I told you that there were some rumors, and I want to get to that because the rumors that's coming out of the Classic has nothing to do with BASS. A lot of guys there from obviously other leagues as well, and a lot of Major League Fishing guys. And the talk that's coming out of this year's Classic is that this may be the last year that Major League Fishing uses forward facing. By next year, the talk is that Major League Fishing is going to phase out of it completely and not have forward facing sonar in their tournament organizations. So I think that's a rumor that Randy Blockett would be happy about. I know that's a rumor that a lot of us are listening to. It's a rumor, but it was talked about quite a bit at the Classic. I'd love to hear your feedback on it, guys. Guys, if you haven't hit that subscribe button, we'd appreciate it if you join the Mark Fisher Outdoors community. We're getting close to 4,000. We really got a goal to try and get there by the time we get to the end of this month. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, send us your comments, and we will see you again tomorrow for another episode of Mark Fisher Outdoors. Take care, everybody.